My name is Maria Santos, and I never imagined that emptying trash cans would lead me to discover the biggest financial mistake in corporate history. For 3 years, I've been cleaning the executive floors of Hartwell Industries, one of the world's largest investment firms. Every night at 11 p.m., I walk through those marble corridors, invisible to the powerful people who make million-dollar decisions during the day. That Tuesday started like any other. I had my usual routine. Elevator to the 47th floor, clean the conference rooms first, then work my way through the executive offices. The building was supposed to be empty, but as I approached the corner office, the one belonging to CEO Jonathan Hartwell himself, I noticed the lights were still on. I hesitated at the door, my hand frozen on the handle. Mr. Hartwell had a reputation for being ruthless, brilliant, and completely untouchable. Forbes had just named him one of the most powerful men in finance, worth over $12 billion. People like him didn't even notice people like me existed. But I had a job to do. I knocked softly and heard his voice from inside, "Come in." When I entered, I saw him hunched over his desk, surrounded by papers and multiple computer screens. His usually perfect appearance was disheveled. Tie loosened, sleeves rolled up, hair messy from running his hands through it. "I'm sorry, Mr. Hartwell," I said quietly in my accented English. "I can come back later to clean." He looked up, and for the first time in 3 years our eyes met. His were bloodshot and filled with a stress I'd never seen before. "No, it's fine. I need to figure this out anyway." He gestured helplessly at the papers. "We're missing $500 million and I can't find where it went." Something in his voice made me pause. Despite his wealth and power, he sounded defeated. Human. I should have just started cleaning and left him alone, but instead I found myself asking, "What kind of mistake?" He laughed bitterly. "The kind that could destroy my company and thousands of jobs. Our quarterly report shows a massive discrepancy in our international holdings. The numbers don't add up, and our presentation to investors is tomorrow morning." As I began dusting his desk, I couldn't help but glance at the documents spread across it. Numbers had always been my secret strength. Back in the Philippines, I had studied accounting before circumstances forced me to leave everything behind. These financial statements looked familiar, reminding me of the complex calculations I used to love solving. "May I ask what specific accounts you're reviewing?" I ventured, surprising myself with my boldness. He looked at me with curiosity now, perhaps hearing something different in my voice. "Our Asian Pacific investments. The currency conversions and time zone differences are creating discrepancies we can't track down." I moved closer to the documents, my heart racing. There, in the middle of the chaos, I spotted something that made my breath catch. A small notation in the corner of one spreadsheet that seemed wrong. A timestamp that didn't match the others. "Mr. Hartwell," I said carefully, "I think I might see something." Mr. Hartwell's expression shifted from exhaustion to skepticism as I pointed to the timestamp anomaly. "Maria, is it?" he asked, reading my name tag. "What exactly do you think you see?" My heart pounded as I explained. "This timestamp here shows the Hong Kong market transaction at 2:47 a.m. local time, but the Hong Kong exchange closes at 4 p.m. This transaction would have been recorded the next day, but your system is showing it as same day, creating a duplicate entry." He stared at me for a long moment, then at the document. "You understand financial timestamps?" "I studied accounting in Manila before." I trailed off, not wanting to share my story. "I notice patterns in numbers." Jonathan leaned forward, his exhaustion replaced by intense focus. "Show me what you're seeing." For the next hour I walked him through what I observed. The missing $500 million wasn't actually missing. It was being double-counted due to a programming error in the system that handled international time zones. When transactions occurred during market overlaps, the system was recording them twice. Once in the original time zone and once when the data was transferred to New York servers. "Here," I said, pointing to another document. "This Singapore transaction at 9:15 a.m. their time corresponds to 9:15 p.m. the previous day in New York. Your system is counting it as two separate trading days." Jonathan's fingers flew across his keyboard, pulling up the raw data. "By God," he whispered. "You're right. Look at this. Every transaction during the overlap hours is duplicated." He turned to me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "How did you see this when our entire financial team missed it?" "Sometimes being invisible has advantages," I said quietly. I see things others overlook because I'm not supposed to be important enough to notice. He was quiet for a moment, then asked, "What's your full name, Maria?" "Maria Elena Santos. I have a degree in accounting from University of the Philippines, but when I came to America 5 years ago, my credentials weren't recognized. I needed work immediately to support my family." "And you've been cleaning offices with an accounting degree?" I nodded, feeling the familiar sting of my circumstances. "My daughter needs medicine. My mother lives with us. The cleaning job has good health insurance and steady pay. I send money home to the Philippines too." Jonathan stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city lights. "Maria, do you realize what you've just done? You've potentially saved this company from bankruptcy. When news of a $500 million accounting error hits the market, our stock would have crashed. Thousands of employees would have lost their jobs. Our investors would have lost billions." "I just saw a pattern," I said simply. "No," he turned back to me, his voice firm. "You saw what Harvard MBAs making $200,000 a year couldn't see. You solved in minutes what we've been struggling with for weeks." As the magnitude of what had happened settled in, I felt a strange mix of pride and fear. I had helped, but now what? Would I be in trouble for overstepping? Would they think I was trying to make the financial team look bad? "Mr. Hartwell," I said hesitantly, "I should probably continue cleaning now. You have important work to do." "Maria, wait." His voice stopped me at the door. "Tomorrow morning, I'm presenting corrected numbers to our board and investors. I want you to be there." "Sir, I don't think you're going to be in that meeting," he said with quiet authority. "And after that, we're going to have a very different conversation about your future with this company." The next morning, I stood outside the boardroom in my best dress, a simple black one I'd worn to my daughter's school events. My hands trembled as I smoothed the fabric, feeling completely out of place among the suited executives filing into the room. I'd barely slept, replaying the events of the previous night and wondering if I'd made a terrible mistake. Jonathan appeared beside me, looking refreshed and commanding in his tailored suit. "Ready?" he asked. "Mr. Hartwell, I don't belong in there. These are important people." "Maria," he interrupted gently, "you belong in there more than anyone else." The boardroom was magnificent, floor-to-ceiling windows, a marble table that could seat 30 people, and walls lined with awards and photographs of Jonathan with world leaders. As we entered, conversations stopped. 20 pairs of eyes turned to us, their expressions ranging from curiosity to confusion. "Gentlemen, ladies," Jonathan began, "I want you to meet Maria Santos. Last night she discovered the source of our $500 million discrepancy." The silence that followed was deafening. I saw the board members exchange glances, some looking skeptical, others intrigued. The head of our financial division, Richard Pemberton, looked particularly uncomfortable. "Jonathan," said Margaret Chin, the board chair, "perhaps you should explain what happened." For the next 30 minutes, Jonathan walked them through the discovery. He explained the time zone error, showed them the duplicate entries, and demonstrated how the system had been double-counting transactions for months. Then he did something I never expected. "Maria," he said, "would you please explain to the board how you identified the pattern?" My mouth went dry. These were some of the most powerful people in finance, and I was a cleaning lady who spoke English with an accent. But as I looked at Jonathan's encouraging nod, I found my voice. "The timestamps didn't match," I began, my voice growing stronger as I continued. "When you process international transactions, you must account for market hours and data transfer times. The system was treating overlap periods as separate trading days." I walked to the presentation screen and pointed out the specific errors, explaining the pattern I'd noticed. As I spoke, I watched their expressions change from skepticism to understanding to something approaching respect. "This is remarkable," said board member David Morrison. "Our entire financial team missed this for months." Richard Pemberton's face flushed red. "If I may," he interrupted, "while we appreciate Mrs. Santos's observation, I think we need to verify." "It's already been verified," Jonathan cut him off sharply. "Our overnight team ran the corrected calculations. The numbers balance perfectly." Margaret Chin leaned forward. "Maria, what's your background?" "I have a degree in accounting from University of the Philippines. I've been working as a cleaning lady here for 3 years while supporting my family." The room fell silent again. I could see them processing this information, that someone with the skills to solve their crisis had been invisible to them, emptying their trash cans every night. "This is unacceptable," Margaret said finally, but she was looking at Jonathan, not me. "We have someone with accounting expertise working as cleaning staff while we pay consultants millions to solve problems she could have identified earlier." "That's exactly what I want to discuss," Jonathan replied. "Maria, I have a proposition for you." My heart stopped. "Sir, I want to offer you a position as senior financial analyst, reporting directly to me. Starting salary, $180,000 annually, full benefits, and a $100,000 signing bonus. Your first project will be auditing our entire international processing system." The room erupted in whispers. I felt dizzy. That salary was 10 times what I made cleaning. It was more money than I'd ever imagined earning. I don't know what to say," I whispered. "Say yes," Jonathan smiled. "But there's one condition." "What condition?" I asked, my voice barely audible above the murmur of board members discussing this unprecedented turn of events. Jonathan's expression grew serious. "I want you to head a new department, the Oversight and Pattern Recognition Division. Your job will be to find what others miss, to question what others accept, and to ensure this kind of error never happens again." The weight of his words hit me like a physical force. He wasn't just offering me a job, he was creating an entire department around my skills. But then his next words shocked everyone in the room, including me. "And I want you to hire your own team. People who understand what it means to be overlooked, who see things differently because they've had to survive in ways others haven't. I want you to find the invisible experts." Richard Pemberton stood up abruptly. "Jonathan, with all due respect, this is highly irregular. We can't just create departments based on..." "Based on what, Richard?" Jonathan's voice turned ice cold. "Based on the fact that Maria solved in minutes what your team couldn't solve in weeks? Based on the fact that she just saved us from financial ruin?" "I didn't mean..." "You meant exactly what you said," Jonathan continued, his authority filling the room. "And that's precisely why we need Maria's department. Because brilliant people are being overlooked every day due to prejudice, circumstances, or simple arrogance." I found my voice, though it shook with emotion. "Mr. Hartwell, I'm honored by your offer, but I need to be honest. I'm terrified. I've been invisible for so long, I don't know if I can do this." "Maria," Margaret Chin spoke up, "may I ask you something? When you saw those timestamps last night, what made you speak up instead of just continuing to clean?" I thought about her question. I saw Mr. Hartwell's stress. I saw how this problem was affecting him. And I thought, maybe I could help. Maybe my background could be useful for once. "That's leadership," said David Morrison. "Seeing a problem and taking action, regardless of your position or what others might think." Jonathan nodded. "Maria, I've been running this company for 15 years. I've hired hundreds of analysts, consultants, and executives. But last night you showed me something I'd never seen before. The power of a fresh perspective combined with genuine expertise." "But what if I fail?" I asked. "What if I can't find other people like me? What if you succeed?" Jonathan interrupted. "What if you revolutionize how we approach financial analysis? What if you create a team that sees patterns others miss, that prevents disasters before they happen?" The room fell silent as everyone waited for my answer. I thought about my daughter Sophia, who'd been asking why mommy worked at night and slept during the day. I thought about my mother, who'd given up her own dreams to help raise Sophia while I worked. I thought about all the nights I'd walked past these offices, wondering what it would be like to be important enough to sit at these desks. "I have one condition of my own," I said finally. Jonathan raised an eyebrow. "What's that?" "I want to finish my shift tonight. I want to clean these offices one more time, to say goodbye to the woman who was invisible, and to remember her when I'm tempted to overlook someone else." The silence that followed was different now. It felt like respect. "Deal," Jonathan said, extending his hand. "Welcome to the executive team, Maria." As I shook his hand, I saw something in his eyes that I'd never expected to see directed at me. Genuine admiration. But what happened next surprised everyone, including Jonathan himself. "There's something else," I said. "Something I noticed about your other accounts that you should know about." The boardroom, which had just begun to relax after the dramatic job offer, suddenly tensed again. Jonathan's hand was still in mine as he asked, What did you notice, Maria? I took a deep breath. While I was reviewing the Asian Pacific accounts, I saw similar timestamp anomalies in your European transactions. The pattern is different, but it's there. I think your system has been making these errors for over 2 years. The color drained from Richard Pemberton's face. That's impossible. Our European operations are handled by a completely different system. The systems are different, I agreed, but they're both programmed to sync with the New York servers at specific times. During daylight saving time transitions, both systems create duplicate entries. It's not just the $500 million. I think you might be looking at over $2 billion in false accounting over the past 2 years. The room erupted. Board members started talking over each other, some demanding immediate audits, others questioning how such a massive error could have gone undetected. Margaret Chin banged her hand on the table for silence. Maria, she said, are you saying our entire international accounting system is fundamentally flawed? Not flawed, I corrected. Just incomplete. The programmers who designed it understood the technical requirements, but they didn't account for the human element, the real-world complexity of how different markets interact. Jonathan ran his hand through his hair. Show me. I walked to the computer terminal and pulled up the European accounts. Here, look at this transaction from London on March 15th, the day after daylight saving time began. The system shows it occurring at 2:30 a.m., but that time didn't exist that day. The system defaulted to recording it twice, once at 1:30 a.m. and once at 3:30 a.m. As I demonstrated the error pattern, I watched the executives' faces change from confusion to understanding to horror. The magnitude of what I was showing them was staggering. This means, said David Morrison slowly, that our last 2 annual reports are wrong, Jonathan finished. Not fraudulently wrong, but systematically wrong. I nodded. The good news is that the actual money isn't missing. It's all there, just being counted incorrectly. The bad news is that your reported profits for the past 2 years are inflated by approximately $200 million annually. The silence that followed was deafening. Finally, Margaret Chin spoke. Jonathan, we need to contact the SEC immediately. This will require a complete restatement of our financial reports. I know, Jonathan said quietly. Maria, do you understand what you've just uncovered? I think so, I said. A very big problem that's been hidden for a very long time. You've uncovered the biggest accounting error in our company's history, he said. But you've also given us the chance to fix it before it becomes a catastrophe. Richard Pemberton, who had been silent during my presentation, finally spoke. The media will crucify us. Our stock will crash. Investors will lose confidence. Or, Jonathan said, looking at me with something approaching awe, we can control the narrative. We can announce that we've discovered and corrected a systematic error in our international accounting systems. We can frame this as a demonstration of our commitment to accuracy and transparency. Will people believe that? Asked Margaret. They will when they meet Maria, Jonathan replied. When they learn that a cleaning lady with an accounting degree saved us from financial disaster, it becomes a story about unexpected heroes and corporate responsibility. I felt overwhelmed. Mr. Hartwell, I just wanted to help. I never intended to. Maria, he interrupted gently, you've done more than help. You've shown us that expertise and insight can come from anywhere. You've reminded us that the most important perspectives often come from people we've overlooked. He turned to address the entire board. I want Maria to lead the complete audit of our international systems. I want her to hire the team she needs with the resources she requires. And I want her to report directly to this board on her findings. As the meeting concluded and board members began filing out, many stopped to shake my hand and welcome me to the team. But it was Jonathan who stayed behind as the room emptied. Maria, he said, I have to ask, why didn't you ever apply for a position in our finance department? I smiled sadly. Mr. Hartwell, I did. 3 times over the past 2 years. I never even got an interview. He looked stricken. I'm sorry. That will never happen again, not to anyone. It's okay, I said. Maybe this is how it was supposed to happen. Maybe I needed to be invisible to see what others couldn't. As I walked out of that boardroom, I thought about the woman who would clean those offices one last time that night. She had been invisible, overlooked, dismissed. But she had also been watching, learning, and preparing for a moment she never knew would come. Sometimes the most powerful discoveries come not from those who are seen, but from those who truly see. 6 months later, our story made the cover of Financial Times. The cleaning lady who saved a Fortune 500 company. But for me, the real victory was simpler. When I tucked my daughter into bed that night, I could finally answer her question about why mommy worked so hard. Because sometimes, I told her, the most important job isn't the one everyone sees. It's the one that helps everyone else see clearly. To support the channel, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you so much.